New standards, new drives, new computers, and new phones. It's a new week this week on TechVi with the Hot Hardware guys Dave Altavilla and Marco Chiappetta. Times are tough, so save time and money by skipping business trips and using GoToMeeting. Visit gotomeeting.com/techpodcast and get 30 days for free. This week we're seeing some new standards come into the HotHardware labs, and the guys over there actually had a chance to test some of that stuff. Marco, you guys got a look at USB 3 and serial ATA 6, the 6th generation. What's your take on these new standards?
Well, they're both kind of just updates to the existing standards. We did some testing with a USB 3 hard drive and with a Seagate SATA 6G hard drive. The USB 3 drive showed huge performance gains. We're talking 5 to 6x, from about 30 megs a second to about 140 megs a second, so big gains there.
That's pretty insane.
The SATA 6G drive showed huge increases in burst speed, but the actual transfers and read and writes were just slightly better than SATA 3G.
And when are we going to see these drives? I mean, USB 3, I've heard, I just read a headline that said it was 2011. Is it going to be any sooner than that?
Yes, well, you can see the SATA 6G drives now. I'm holding one up. Those are for sale right now from Seagate. You'll see those spread across the whole spectrum of drives from multiple manufacturers fairly quickly. USB 3 drives are going to be a few more months, and motherboards with chipsets that support the technology are here now, but native core logic with support will probably be in 2011.
Yeah, so it's going to be kind of rolling out over the next year or so. Early adopters take note. Dave, other things we're talking about, not just hard drives, but solid state drives. You guys got a chance to play with a pretty new one. What's going on with that one?
Yeah, we're taking a look actually in the labs right now at Fusionio IO's new IO Extreme PCI Express SSD card. And what it is a consumer targeted version of Fusionio IO's original IO drive product. And essentially the IO drive is a bunch of flash, NAND flash, on a PCI Express card with a custom PCI Express flash controller that allows the flash to direct connect over PCI Express. So you don't have a SATA controller involved at all, like previous versions. OCZ's Z drive, for example, uses a PCI Express SATA controller with SSDs. So
it's just that much quicker, right? I mean, it's kind of taking out some of those bottlenecks and giving direct access to this memory. Yeah.
So it's direct attach flash to PCI Express. And the first generation IO drive was targeted for the enterprise, about $7,000 for a 160 gig card, believe it or not. This product, the IO Extreme, is an 80 gig size drive for about $899, so it's still a pretty hefty premium, but the performance is just insane. It's like 1.3 gigs a second of read throughput, and it's blinding speed.
Well, and this isn't for storing files for a really long time, right? I mean, you don't put your MP3s on this and just leave them there. This is for things that need to be high throughput, like maybe, if you have 10 channels of HD video that needs to play back flawlessly, or, some other crazy application, right?
Yeah, exactly. Fusionio IO likes to refer to it as another memory tier in your system. And so essentially treat it as an OS volume application, load up your applications on it. But do your bulk storage elsewhere on a RAID array of standard spinning hard drives or something like that, because you don't want to waste all the performance on this that this drive offers on just bulk storage.
No, man, I'll just buy $800, $700 80 gig drives just to have enough space. I think that's how I'm gonna roll. So
because you get money like water, brother.
Yeah, exactly. Other stuff we're talking about is a new term to me a little bit. It's the CULV notebook. Now this is a different kind of processor that I've already forgotten, Marco. We talked about it before. I don't remember what the C is, but it's ultra low voltage. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with these notebooks.
It's a consumer ultra low voltage. So basically, it's a kind of a notch above a netbook processor, but not quite as powerful as a mainstream Core 2 processor, let's say. They fill the market segment above netbooks, but below larger mainstream notebooks.
Got it. So, what does that exactly mean for a consumer who's looking to buy one of these? I mean, they're going to spend, how much money, and what sort of performance should they expect, et cetera?
Well, we actually have two CULV notebooks in now, a model from Asus and one from Toshiba, the T135, that we've actually just put up the full review. Both machines are under 800 bucks. The Toshiba model is actually 709 for the model we tested, and it offers performance that's much better than any netbook, just a notch below a more mainstream, more powerful notebook.
Got it. So you get kind of the best of both worlds, really slim, sexy design, without sacrificing all that performance that you normally would if you went straight netbook. And then
right, you get great battery life, nice portability, just with slightly lower performance.
Makes sense. The last thing we're going to talk about is the Motorola Droid. Now, Friday, which is today for some of you, it was announced and released, rather, and now people can pick it up from any Verizon store. Dave, you guys are lucky enough to have had this for a little while, and you've been able to look at it in depth. What are some of the things you guys have found with the new Motorola Droid?
Yeah, it's an interesting product to be sure. We've had it in the lab for a little less than a week now. And if you haven't been by the site, stop by our site and check out the full deep dive review that Jen Johnson did from our team. She did a great job with it. There's even a little live hands-on demo if you don't have time to get to a Verizon store to check it out yourself live. She demos it on video. But it's an interesting product, and I'll sum up our deep dive look with, I guess, the thought that Jen came across, which was this is really a geek's smartphone, if you will, versus the iPhone, which is a slick consumer smartphone that has a little bit smoother feel to it, perhaps. But the Android perhaps has some power and features that the iPhone doesn't. And thinking of things like, the 5-megapixel camera that's on board the Droid. It also takes pictures in low light settings. It has a built-in flash. You've got replaceable, interchangeable batteries. I'm sorry, what was that, Rand?
Oh no, I just said, it sounds like they're really trying to go after the geek set and sort of the early adopter type people with interchangeable batteries, something maybe a regular person wouldn't think about. But of course, a geek who is tethering or doing whatever they can on their connection, they're always going to be running out of battery. When you compare this directly to the iPhone, Dave, I mean, a regular person might come up to you and say, should I get the iPhone, should I get the Droid? I mean, is the iPhone really just for people who want the multimedia syncing? Is that really the key? Or, I mean, how do you answer that question to a regular person?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. I mean, the nice thing about the Droid, Verizon's Droid, is that it's the second coming of the Android OS. It's much smoother, very responsive. But it's definitely different than an iPhone, which is, very intuitive, very polished, with several iterations now of Apple's OS for the phone. So I guess what I would say is that, consumers should perhaps think about how they're being limited with an iPhone or with Apple's platform, with their closed platform, versus the Droid's open source development platform.
Yeah.
And, there's a ton of apps in that app store right now, but you can be sure the Droid apps are coming, and they're going to come in droves because anybody can jump in on it. And
yeah, definitely. Well, and there's a lot more devices, too. If you look at, we've seen, I think, 4 Android devices launched this week in addition to the Droid. So, I mean, there's a lot of phones that are coming out that are going to be supporting Android. It's going to be a platform that's definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with. We'll have to see. I'm looking forward to the Droid. I want to get my hands on it. No multi-touch is something that's a little bit sad for me, but not the end of the world. So I'll have to check that out.
No multi-touch, but it does have a full-size QWERTY keyboard. So some trade-offs, but it's another nice option to have in the smartphone market.
Definitely. Well, Dave Altavilla from HotHardware and also Marco Chiappetta, guys come on the show every week or come on our site, and we come on your site once a week. It's a good little tag team we got going here. Thanks for coming on the show, guys. I'm Randall Bennett.
Thanks for having us, Randall.
And don't forget, you can catch us on iTunes. We're on YouTube. We're over at HotHardware.com, or if you want links, we're also on TechVi.com as well. You can get links and all the show notes both places. So check us out somewhere. See ya.